All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage. And all the men and women, merely players.
Merely players.
Merely players.
Merely players.
Boston Podcast Players.
Welcome to the first season of the Boston Podcast Players.
Strong women breed stronger women.
This season we are presenting 8 new play excerpts.
This isn't a sore throat, I'm sick. Mentally.
From 8 Boston playwrights.
It's not a lie, I'm depressed, Mom.
Depressed? Ou qu'elle est not têtue?
Milk in my head.
From Mimi Augustine, Mary McCullough, Greg Lamb,
You still had your money, baby? I'd order up some manners to be injected into her skull.
Mara Alyssa Palma, Ken Green,
Why? So what, you're gonna throw me out of the game? Are you gonna throw me out of the park too?
Daddy, let it go. We can get out this inning and be done with this. It's just a f***ing softball game.
Rosa Nagel, Colleen Hughes, and Jasenia Isis Figueroa.
Let him die in there. It's what he deserves. He's
You
no...
want me to stop loving him just because you have.
Released once a month on the first Friday of the month.
Thought you might want to know Miss Rosie's on her way. She died sitting straight up on top of that plastic cover on her couch. Looked like she was waiting for visitors.
We'll hear the plays and talk to the playwrights.
What makes your play yours?
Oh, that's a hard question.
I was writing poetry and something was missing.
So I like to view one media through the lens of another.
And I always in my poetry, I've always written dialogue.
Taking what one media is good at and trying to import it to another to see what happens.
I feel like what makes this one more specifically me is the family relationships, which is also something that seems to creep its way into a lot of my work.
Nina's mom would speak in Creole and Nina would respond in English, but like almost translating the question. And then my dramaturg at the time, Victoria Marsh, was like, "You don't need that. That's crap. The audience can figure it out. You don't need to." And if they don't, they can stay for the Q&A and figure out what's going on.
Two powerful women who may or may not have run the entire country, with that power at their fingertips. And what is the cost of that, both publicly and personally? I'm really interested in how the political and the personal interact.
So we toured when we were in Kenya, and then 10 years later we went to China, and we toured and we took a show. We took 10-minute pieces of each woman's part. It's interesting, and we traveled with the stage manager, director, the whole 9 yards, so that we could do shows.
All that and more on the first season of Boston Podcast Players.
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 Boston Podcast.
Sorry. I love it. I'm just kidding. All right, this is it.
Boston Podcast Players.